What's up, people? We are back. It's your favorite duo here on the LoudMouth MMA podcast network. That's right. We are The Breakdown, and we are back for another fun UFC card as they head down to Brazil for UFC 237 this week. I'm your co-host, Max Friedman, trademarked MMA on the Twitter world, celebrating a big St. Louis Blues victory last night. But enough about me. I'm joined by my man, my co-host. You may know him from Twitter. You may know him from Instagram. You may know him from the great work he does over at MMA DNA, the one and only Marcel Dorff. Big Marcel, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on, man? Good to be back. Pretty sad day today for me, but yeah, I'm happy to do this with you. You know that if people saw on Twitter what I tweet out, so yeah, let's go. Let's do the preview. And what's up, man? How are you doing?
Big Marcel's a little disappointed about his soccer team losing today, which I can definitely feel for you. It's been a rough last week with the playoffs for the NHL here in the U.S., but nonetheless, we move on here on the Loudmouth MMA podcast network. Because as you can see, Big Marcel's fired up to make his picks today. Isn't that right?
Fired up? Nah, just kidding, man. Yeah, sure, always fun, man. What about the standings from last week? Because I think you did pretty well, right?
Yeah, so let's go ahead and take a look at the board while you mention it. UFC Ottawa last week, and it was another victory for yours truly. 8-3 on the night. Picked up a bonus with Walt Big Ticket Harris, also an underdog pick with Arjun Singh Buller. Big Marcel going 6-5 for the night. Also picked up a bonus with Macy Chiasson. Let's head to the standings overall. Overall record 103-70 for 2019 for me, 97-76 for Big Marcel, falling behind a little bit.
6-5. I think it was 7-5.
No, there's 11 fights on the card. It's 6-5.
No, man, 12.
Did I miscount?
Yeah. Or am I crazy now?
1, 2. Oh, you're right. You did have 12.
Yeah.
Man, okay. So let's adjust this here because you went 7-5. I only missed 3 on the evening, I believe. I missed Cub Swanson, I missed Iaquinta, and we both missed Eamon Zahabi. Yeah, so I think that's it. And then
Okay.
you also missed on Theodoro and Brad Katona.
Yeah, Cowboy.
And yeah, we both missed on that one. Okay, so 7-5 for Big Marcel last week. My apologies. I believe that.
He wanted to shorten me. Yeah, I see
Shorten
what
you
you
a
did.
point.
I see what you did there. Yeah. You were probably also the judge in Cup Swans and Shane Burgers who gave it to Cup, right?
At pick Cub, and there was no way he won that fight. 5 underdogs on the year for me, 4 for Big Marcel, 10 bonuses for me. Big Marcel still holds that lead, 13 bonuses. Man, you're good at picking those bonuses, Big Marcel.
Thank you, man. You're good in everything else.
All right, well, we head down to Brazil this weekend for UFC 237. This one's set for May 11, 2019 at the Jeunesse Arena in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. That's also known as the Rio Olympic Arena for those that don't want to go with the Portuguese pronunciation there. Big Marcel, you pumped for this title fight or what?
Yeah, sure, man. But actually, I'm happy we didn't do this podcast yesterday because our first fight would be off already, you know?
Man, I thought about that too. And talk about a last minute change. Talita Bernardo now gets her third different opponent for this card. She's sitting at number 15 in the women's bantamweight rankings. We don't have updated odds for this one yet, but now set to take on Viviane Araujo. Vivi Araujo is a UFC newcomer going up 2 weight classes, currently competes at strawweight. She replaces Melissa Gatto, who was a replacement herself for Jessie Rose Clark. So Bernardo has been in camp for this whole time, but then again, it's always tough with the change of opponents. Big Marcel, you got any insight onto what happens? What does a fighter go through here when they have a last minute opponent change like this?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm not a fighter myself, but I imagine it's pretty annoying, of course, because listen, many fighters say we train as normal, not for any specific fighter, but there are fighters we train for specific fighters, and if you do that, that sucks. But Viviani Araujo, she's the queen of Pancras. She's champion over there in her last fight. She won the championship. But going up 2 weight classes on short notice is pretty crazy, man. So I have to favor Bernardo here, probably by being better on the ground. And nah, let's go for a decision win here for Toledo Bernardo, probably by dominating because of the difference in build, I think.
Yeah, Talita Bernardo, I might be in the minority here, but I think she actually has some potential at 135 pounds. I mean, first
Uh,
two tough two fights in her first two, Marion Renault on short notice, Irene Aldana, but very decisive win over Sarah Morris last
but
time out.
who doesn't have potential at 135 with one win after its name? I mean, come on, in the women's division, that
Only 17 fighters in the
yeah,
division or whatever it is. Good point. Nonetheless, I'm with you there. I think she gets it done here, especially handles the newcomer Araujo. But Araujo, I think, doing a lot of work at Hard Knocks 365, if I'm not
yeah,
mistaken.
she's original from Cerrado MMA, I think, and that's Vicente Luca also there. So I think
Oh,
that's
okay.
where the connection.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I saw both Gilbert Burns and Vicente Luque showing support, so maybe that's where it's coming from.
Yeah,
All right. Well, second fight of the night on UFC Fight Pass, Raoni Barcelos taking on Carlos Haushin Quiros. El Perro Malo, the bad dog, big time late notice replacement. We briefly talked about this fight last week on our UFC Ottawa podcast. Interesting to see a guy like Carlos Haushin, a relative unknown, only 10-3 and 2 overall. 7-fight unbeaten streak, does have 5 finishes, but interesting to see the Peruvian getting the nod here when you do know there's quite a bit of talent at or around 135 pounds, especially down in Brazil too. But Raoni Barcelos is very well traveled in his own right, 2-0 in the UFC, both finishes. He is 33 years old, heavy hands. A lot of people favoring Barcelos here. He's a minus 800 favorite against the newcomer Quiros, who's 650. Big Marcelo, are you with the mass opinion here for Barcelos?
you know how many times I tweeted out that the UFC should contract Jaime Barcelos. How many times I tweeted out that he deserves a fight when they didn't give him a debut fight after canceling his fight against Boston
Boston
Salmon.
Salmon, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm all over Barcelos here in this fight. I think he will get it done first round knockout. I mean, I think there are levels, man, and Barcelos is definitely close to a top 15 place in my opinion. So yeah, I'm favoring Tony Barcelos in this one, definitely.
I'm taking him by a finish too. Submission first round.
Okay.
Fun fight at 170 pounds up next here. Warley Alves and Sergio Moraes, a battle of two Brazilians. Warley Alves, man, many thought he would be the next big thing at either middleweight or welterweight, coming off winning the Ultimate Fighter Brazil Season 3. Went 4-0 to start his UFC career, then took those losses, Brian Barberena, Kamaru Usman, coming off that loss to James Krause last time out. Not really sure what to make of him right now at his stage in his development. Sergio Moraes, last time we saw him against Anthony Rocco Martin, his only 2 UFC losses are to now champion Kamaru Usman and the aforementioned Anthony Rocco Martin. Not the most technical striker, but very dangerous on the ground. Interesting to see if he gets it there. Slight underdog for Sergio Moraes, plus 125. Warley Alves is a minus 145 favorite. Which way you leaning on this, Big Marcel?
I'm picking the underdog right here, man. I think Sergio Moraes. I'm always been like he's kind of a dark horse in the division. He has very good submission game. His striking is okay, not really great, but okay. And Warley Alves has been hit or miss for me in the UFC, man. I mean, he finished Colby Covington, man. I mean, that's a big win. But besides that, he didn't impress me so far the last times anymore. He won against Sultan Alif after his eyes was pretty much closed, but he disappointed me against James Krause. I think that was a perfect fight for him to get further in the division, but he hit by that knee, right, to the face, to the chin. Yeah, I'm taking Moraes here, man, and I see him actually finishing Warley Alves, probably by a submission late in the third round.
Man, that's exactly what I picked too. Moraes with a late finish. I'm with you. I don't know where Warley Alves really stands. That loss to James Krause, he was very much favored in that fight. I think he was almost a 3-1 favorite. I actually picked Krause in that one too. I don't know where he's at mentally. I just don't know if he's quite there yet. But I'm going to take Moraes as well. Late submission in that one. And headlining the prelims on UFC Fight Pass, we got a fight at 125 pounds on the women's side. Priscilla Cachoeira taking on Luana Carolina. Cachoeira 0-2 in the UFC, took that really bad beating to now champion Valentina Shevchenko. Lost on the scorecards to Meatball Molly McCann in her second outing. Comes in on short notice on this one. Replaces Wu Yanan. Carolina 5-1. UFC debut here. Earned her way to the UFC via the Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series Brazil. 5 straight wins for the 25-year-old. I got to favor her in this one with a decision. Big Marcel, where are you going?
This is literally the bottom of this division, to be honest, man. I mean, if you see who they have beat in their career so far, it's all like 0-0, 1-0. Some is like I think one decent fighter they've beat either way, either one. But yeah, you can't pick Cachoeira here after her last two fights, man. I mean, why would you do that? So I'm going with Luana Carolina, but I couldn't care less about this fight, honestly. Gotta be honest, man. Gotta be honest.
No, I'm with you, man. I don't see either of these fighters making a run in this division. All right, well, kicking things off on the televised prelims, and these are on ESPN in the U.S. I believe that's on Veronica TV in the Netherlands.
Fight
No,
pass.
Fight Pass. Okay. The legend, the UFC Hall of Famer, BJ Penn, taking on Clay the Carpenter Guida. Guida, a huge -600 favorite. The comeback on BJ Penn is +450. Big Marcel, I'll let you open the gates here. Two of the all-time veterans that this fight probably could have headlined a fight night in 2007. Where are you going on this one?
It's just sad, man. BJ Penn, man. I love BJ Penn. He's a great fighter, and he's a great champion. He's a Hall of Famer, but he shouldn't do this to himself, man. Honestly, let's be honest here, man. I really don't like to disrespect him because that's really not what I want here. But man, why? I mean, probably does it for himself. I hope he does it for himself and not for the fans because really, dude, don't do it anymore, man. I mean, all respect to you, but you had a great career, and I really hope that he focuses more on training with guys or something, because it's really the end for him here. And Clay Guida, the hunger the guy has still in his fights, man. If you see how he came back in his last two fights, it's man, he has a two-fight winning streak right now.
No,
Yeah,
it's coming off the loss to Charles
Charles
Oliveira.
Oliveira, yeah, before a two-fight winning streak. But Charles Oliveira is top 15 material, man. And Clay Guida, yeah, I don't see anything else than a TKO in the first round for Clay Guida, honestly, man. And I, I actually hope it will be a decision, but because I don't want to see BJ get hurt, but I think Clay will finish him in the first round.
Yeah, it's I'm right there with you. BJ Penn, nothing left to prove. I really don't like to see him continue to fight here. There's not much more to it. Guida has way more left in the tank. He gets it done. TKO. I'll take him in the second round.
No, I feel like a dick.
Moving along here, a fight at 135 pounds. Ranked fighters, as Big Marcel mentioned, aren't too many fighters at 135 pounds that aren't ranked, but Irene Aldana taking on Betch Correia. Aldana currently at number 11 in the rankings. Correia at number 13. Aldana, pretty big favorite here, -280. Comeback on the Brazilian Betch Correia, +230. This was a fight that was scheduled twice before, so we're finally getting to see it. Hopefully it doesn't become one of those that those Cesar Ferreira, Tom Breeze, or the Khabib Nurmagomedov and Tony Ferguson type fights where they just can't seem to get it right.
You want another one? Gilbert Melendez, Arnold Allen, which is booked right now.
Now it's booked again for the third time. Man, one of those types of fights. Mexico's Aldana, though, off to a rough start in the UFC, but has since won back-to-back fights and 2-2 overall in the UFC, 9-4 total. Really good striker, tall, technical. Correa, very inactive, only 2 fights in 2 years. Had that draw with Marion Renault, which I thought she lost, took a bad beating there. And then that bad head kick KO loss to Holly Holm. 35 years old. Seems like her better years are behind her. Hasn't really looked the same ever since that loss to Ronda Rousey. Aldana, to me, is the better striker and should cruise to a victory, if not get a late finish. But Big Marcel, anything else you want, you like in this fight?
Bathroom break fight, Arena Aldana decision.
All right, we got it. This is an interesting fight coming up here at 145 pounds and very close on the betting lines as well. Kurt Holobaugh taking on Thiago Moises. And Big Marcel, I got to ask you, is it Kurt Holobaugh or Holobaugh? Because on the broadcast, Brennan Fitzgerald constantly says Holobaugh. But every media outlet I've ever heard was Holobaugh.
I also say Holobaugh, but I don't know for sure, man. Honestly, we have someone's got to ask Kurt. Someone's got to ask him.
Yeah, we gotta look for a soundbite of him introducing himself. Yeah, anyway, man, the guy looked like a world beater outside the UFC, but for whatever reason, he hasn't been able to get it done inside the octagon. Granted, he's fought in his return 2 absolute studs. Shane Burgos, we know how good he is. Raoni Barcelos, Big Marcel just mentioned, been calling for the UFC to have Raoni Barcelos in there for years. Coming off that loss where he had Shane Burgos hurt, but ultimately caught in an armbar. Thiago Moises, meanwhile, outclassed in his UFC debut. I mean, not much else you can say about that. To Beneil Dariush, the American top team product, definitely looking to bounce back in this one. Man, hard to go with here. Hard to choose a winner in this one. Holobaugh is a plus 110 underdog, slight underdog to the minus 130 favorite in the Brazilian Moises. Big Marcel, which way are you leaning on this really close fight?
Man, I think Kurt Holobaugh, his record in the UFC doesn't do him right, man. Like you said, he fought Raoni Barcelos in the fight of the night. Shane Burgos, where Shane hurt, but he got caught in the armbar. And he knocked out Matt Bessette, but that fight got overturned on no contest because of an IV use.
Vicious knockout, too.
Yeah, definitely. So, Moises, he's pretty good as well, man. He got dominated by the Beneil Dariush in his debut by Dariush playing it safe because he had like a 2 losing streak right there at that moment. Man, I'm taking Kurt Holobaugh right here, man. I really feel that he's got this done. I think he's a typical fighter, which is a worse record than he should have. I think he is better than his record looks, and it's kind of the same way last week with Merab Dvalishvili. You know, his record seems like a little bit off in the UFC, but he should be actually 4-0 in my opinion. This is not the same type of record, which I mean, but you know what I mean here. I think Kurt Holobaugh is UFC material, and yeah, I like to see him getting a win here. I'm taking him by. He has to finish, man. It's in Brazil, so I'm taking by TKO in the 3rd round.
Yeah. I agree with you that Kurt Holobaugh is better than his UFC record suggests, but at the same time, I think Thiago Moises is a much better fighter than he showed in his UFC debut. And I actually like his well-rounded game and to steal one on the scorecards here. I'm going to take Moises by a split decision. Got our first difference of the night, Big Marcel. Only took 7 fights to get there.
Oh, split decision for a Brazilian. Brazil. Oh man, you're so tough with picking that one.
Hey, you'll see. I got one coming for you later on the main card too.
Okay.
Sure you can guess which fight it is. All right, headlining the prelims on ESPN in the US or UFC Fight Pass in the Netherlands, we got the former Pride Fighting Championship veteran Antonio Rogerio Nogueira, Little Nog, taking on Ryan Spann, Superman. Spann currently a minus 145 favorite. Little Nog, the comeback on him is plus 125. Fun matchup here. I'm actually excited about this one at 205 pounds. I mean, I loved seeing Little Nog turn back the clock against Sam Alvey, and I think I'm one of the only people that picked him in that fight. And he still's got the technical striking game, and they say the power's the last to go. He is 42 years young. Meanwhile, I think on the flip side of things, Ryan Spann's on the rise here. I mean, he's successful in his UFC debut, 15-5 overall, 5 straight wins, 4 finishes in those 5. Only 27 years old, training at a great team at Fortis MMA. Big Marcel, you going with the up-and-comer, or are you going with the crafty vet in this one?
Man, it's so tough, man. I think I wasn't impressed by Span in his last fight against Luis Enrique Oliveira, but that can also be part of Enrique Oliveira, who made it a pretty ugly fight, I think. Antonio Rogerio Nogueira, like you said, the knockout against Sam Alvey was something beautiful from his side. Um, Man, this is a very hard fight to pick right here because Lil Knock still has that flip where he can knock you out and it will one punch. And Ryan Spann, um, I think if it goes to a decision, Nogueira will win, but I think Spann can win this one. Going with the second round finish for Ryan Spann, TKO.
Yeah, I can't bet against Ryan Spann right now the way he's fighting. I'm taking him with a TKO in the first round, but wouldn't be surprised if Nogueira does get the decision victory or even gets a finish. I mean, the
Yeah,
guy
it's possible.
can still hit. All right. Well, we go to the main card, pay-per-view main card, and as a reminder, now you can buy all your UFC pay-per-views on ESPN Plus. Give you some free publicity there, but we kick things off at 155 pounds in another battle of 2 Brazilians, Francisco Trinaldo, Massaranduba, one of the great nicknames in the division, taking on Diego Ferreira. Big Marcel, open it up for us on this fight at 155 pounds.
Yeah, man, Francisco Trinaldo, he got a win this last fight against Evan Dunham, and but he got 2 cancelled fights in between that against Makachev and Alexander Hernandez. Now back against Diego Ferreira. Ferreira is on a 4-fight win streak, with pretty decent wins on that, man, against Jared Gordon and Rustam Khabilov. A pretty dominating win, I think, and it was in Prague, I think, earlier this month or earlier this year. Um, Man, honestly, I'm all over here. Carlos Diego Ferreira, man. He's gonna win first round knockout. It's gonna be a blowout, I think.
Oh, knockout. I don't even recall if we've ever seen Trinaldo get knocked out in the UFC.
It's gonna happen, man. I have the feeling it's gonna happen.
Okay. Well, I'm also with you. I think Ferreira really keeps the win streak rolling here. He's been cruising, man, ever since he came back from that suspension. 3-0, those 2 finishes, Kyle Nelson and Jared Gordon. Massaranduba, I mean, age just got to catch up to him at some point. He's 40 years old. He's 2-2 in his last 4. He has that no-nonsense approach that I really like when he's in there, but just love the way Carlos Diego Ferreira is putting everything together. I think he can really dictate where this fight goes and be able to find the finish. All right. Another battle of South Americans here, not just Brazilians. We got 2 South American countries represented in this one. Thiago Alves, Pitbull, taking on Laureano Staropoli. Vegas split on this one, minus 110 on both sides. I mean, Thiago Alves, we know he's not the same fighter he once was, but his recent appearances show he's still got plenty left in the tank. I think we can agree on that. Coming off a highly controversial win over Max Griffin. Big Marcel perhaps has a little bit more to say on that front. Argentina's Staropoli 1-0 in the UFC, taking that decision over Hector Aldana in his home country. 8-1 overall. He's 26 years old. 6-fight win streak for the Argentinian. Big Marcel, where are you leaning on the battle of South Americans in this one?
I'm pretty convinced Thiago Alves will win this one, man. I think Laureano Staropoli, he got the fight of the night in his last fight against Hector Aldana, but I wasn't really impressed. And I think Hector Aldana is a very mediocre fighter, to be honest. To Thiago Alves, yeah, actually he lost 3 straight, but yeah, he got that split decision win against Max Griffin out of nowhere. Um, I'm still favoring Thiago Alves, man. He has still something left, and he didn't do bad in those 3 fights at all, in my opinion. He just got caught against Milander and against the Griffin fight. I think Griffin won, like I said, but it wasn't like Thiago Alves didn't do anything, you know. So I think how do you say that? Thiago Alves has more. Um, I always butcher this word, so I never can remember it. But experience. He has more experience. There you go. And I think he will win this one by unanimous decision.
I'm right there with you. And even if it is a closer fight than Pitbull has it, I think he takes it with a nice Brazil home crowd decision. So either way, I think Thiago Alves is getting his hand raised via decision as well. All right. Moving along the card, we got a battle at 185 pounds between one of the all-time greats, Anderson Silva, number 14 in the rankings. He is a he's a plus 130 underdog against Alaska's Jared Cannonier, number 10 in the rankings, minus 150 on the betting line here. I
You
mean,
missed the fight.
what'd you say, Big Marcel?
You missed the fight, man. That's a co-main event.
That's the co-main event, not
Yeah.
Aldo?
No, Aldo is not the co-main, I think.
All right, well, that doesn't make any sense. All right.
Yeah, but just go with Anderson against Cannonier.
Yeah, co-main event. Um, what more can be said about Anderson Silva? I mean, one of the greatest of all time, former middleweight champion for years. Had that win over Derek Brunson in early 2017. Then he had the long layoff from the suspension. Fought Israel Adesanya. Showed he still had plenty left in the tank. I mean, definitely not the same fighter he once was, but can still compete if you ask me. Cannonier dropped to middleweight. Got a win in finishing David Branch as an underdog, but this will only be a second fight at 185 pounds. I mean, he's one of those guys that's kind of dumb tough on paper. Definitely has good power, but can he catch Anderson Silva? Is he really a minus 150 favorite? Big Marcel, what's your take here?
Let's be honest, man. We all saw Anderson Silva against Israel Adesanya. You see, he can still hold that distance. He can still do the flashy stuff. And Cannonier is not near as quick as Anderson Silva. He can land a hard punch and he can knock him out 100% sure, but he's not gonna land that punch. And I see Anderson Silva winning this one by unanimous decision.
I do too, and I actually think Silva might get a finish late. I mean, he's definitely still elusive. He still has those great skills. I'm
Favorable
not.
fight for Silva this one, man.
This is a really good matchup on paper for Anderson Silva. And man, that plus 130 betting line is awfully juicy for someone who likes to take advantage of it. All right, so the next fight, which I was under the assumption was the co-main event. My apologies for not doing my adequate research ahead of time. Top 5 featherweights, including one of the greatest of all time, Jose Aldo, back fighting in Brazil, the number 1 ranked featherweight. He is a minus 140 favorite against the Australian number 4, Alex Volkanovski, plus 110. The comeback on him. Talk about a fun one, man. The former champ Aldo, the second coming of Jose Aldo, maybe. I mean, back-to-back finishes. Somehow he's still only 32. Like, another stat that blew my mind. Meanwhile, you got a guy absolutely surging up the rankings. I mean, Volkanovski, 19-1 overall, 16-fight win streak, 6-0 in the UFC, coming off a huge finish of Chad Mendes. He's as tough as they come. He took some shots from Chad Mendes, still got that finish over a guy that's not easy to finish. Hasn't faced the level of striker that Jose Aldo is. Big Marcel in the what should be co-main event of the evening. We got the second coming of Jose Aldo, or do we truly have a new possible number 1 contender at 145?
Listen, man, I pissed off already Australian fans with the Sydney news last week, and I'm gonna piss them off even more. Um, Jose Aldo, he's gonna win this one. If Alexander Volkanovski get hit like he did in the first round against Chad Mendes, Jose Aldo will put him away 100%. And Jose Aldo's gonna win this one, man, either by stoppage or by decision. And I think everybody saw Aldo losing to McGregor, saw him losing to twice to Holloway, and everybody was like, he's done. And honestly, I felt the same, man. I thought it's over with Aldo, but then how he came back in his last 2 fights, man, it's crazy. It's absolutely so much respect for the dude, and I think if you can beat Stevens and you can beat Moicano like he did in his last 2 fights, he also can get past Volkanovski in his own country, taking Aldo by a first round TKO.
First round. Yeah.
Sorry, Aussies.
Yeah, to all those
Oh,
Aussie haters on Twitter, how about you now? Big Marcel's report from MMA DNA getting some love out there in Australia. That pay-per-view is happening, whether you guys like it or not. Jose Aldo gets it done in this one. TKO in the third round. I love Alexander Volkanovski. I think this is the right matchup at this time. He's proved that he can hang with the top of the division, but I don't think he wins this fight.
by the way, you saw an Australian newspaper had the coach of Whitaker an interview with him, and the coach is like, if the UFC does that, they are crazy, and Robert doesn't want to fight on this date because then it's NHRL day, and that's crazy or something. But man, we saw the UFC did it before, right? So I wouldn't be. Is it that surprising? They don't care for other sports events. They actually.
No, absolutely not. It's happening. You know, you like it or not, it's what's going on. The UFC is going to do what the UFC wants to do.
Yeah.
All right, pay-per-view headliner. We got a championship fight. 5 rounds in the UFC strawweight division, and man, I get pumped up every time a championship fight happens between the true champion and the true number one contender. And I think that's what we got here. Thug Rose Namajunas defend her women's
We only get that like twice a year, but yeah, indeed.
defends her women's strawweight championship against Jessica Andrade Batistaca, the number one ranked Andrade. Slight favorite for the challenger, minus 120. Thug Rose Namajunas, even money odds as the champion. Such an awesome main event, man. And I'm glad that the ladies are getting the love in Brazil. Namajunas, back-to-back wins over Joanna Jędrzejczyk, 6-2 in the UFC, 3 straight wins, and I think we can agree all her best performances. Such a cerebral fighter in there, it seems like. It seems like she really just is so aware of everything that's happening. Andrade, meanwhile, talk about a load of power. Answered her title challenge loss from 2017 to Joanna Jędrzejczyk with 3 straight wins, including a performance of the night knockout of Karolina Kowalkiewicz last time out. Ah, man. Where do you go on this one, Big Marcel? You got the and new and still. Break it down for us, this UFC 237 main event.
What do you think I have, man? What do you think?
I think you're going with Namajunas to defend her title.
Oh man, you know me better than I thought. Um, yeah, I'm going with Rose, man. I think Rose proved how good she is, man. I mean, she defeated Joanna twice, and she knocked her out the first time, made the tap to strikes actually, and she decisioned her the second time. So Jessica Andrade, very entertaining, good fighter, knockout power. But I think Rose has a complete package right here. She can hold distance. She's good on the ground, probably better than Jessica Andrade on the ground, in my opinion. And the striking she can neutralize by keeping the distance and picking her shots, man. So I don't see Andrade winning this one. And I think the UFC wants Jessica to win because they want to make the Jessica JJ fight too, and that's actually why I want Rose to win. So I also think Rose wins unanimous decision one. Pretty. Nah, let's go with a submission, man. Submission fourth round. I think she can finish her. And yeah, fourth round submission for Rose Namajunas. And back Rose, we will hear again.
Yeah. Andrade, I just can't see her being able to play her game against someone so tactical like Thug Rose.
Yeah.
She just seems too smart for that. And you mentioned she's so well-rounded, so crafty on the ground, only improving. I mean, people will talk about the layoff. She's been out of action since last April, but Andrade fought in like September or something against Karolina Kowalkiewicz. So not that much of a difference as far as difference in between fights. And Thug Rose, man, she's continuing to grow in this role as the champion. I can't see her getting knocked out or getting hit by any of those big bombs. I just don't see it happening. I'm not sure if she finishes Andrade, but I would expect her to walk away and still the UFC strawweight champion.
Yeah.
Decision on that one. All right, Big Marcel, it's bonus time. I'll let you go ahead and pick which bonus you want to pick first, and then you'll start, and then I will pick a bonus, and I will give my answer. and go first on that one.
Bonus. Let's go with Jose Aldo, obviously, and Anderson Silva.
For performance of the night?
Yep.
Okay. My performance of the night bonuses are going out to Jose Aldo as well and Ryan Spann. Fight of the night. Tough one here. Let's go. Let's go main event. Doug Rose, Namajunas, and Jessica Andrade in fight of the night. Where are you at?
Boring. Same.
Oh.
I was expecting you to pick Luana Carolina against Priscilla Cachoeira.
Hey, I almost picked Thiago Moises, Kurt Holobaugh, so
Yeah, why not?
yeah. All right. Underdog time, and here are your options to choose from, Big Marcel.
Anderson
You got
Silva.
Anderson Silva's who you're going with?
Yeah, obviously.
Okay. Man, I wanted to do that too, but let me look and see what I got here. I could go Sergio Moraes. I could go or I'll go Namajunas. Doug Rose Namajunas is my underdog pick for the evening.
Nice.
All right. Lock of the night. Big Marcel, where are you leaning?
Lock of the night. Lock of the night. Tell me yours first, and then let me think for my lock of the night.
Well, I got two. I think it's
Okay. I know mine. Clay Guida.
yeah, I was thinking Clay Guida, but hey, I'll go Irene Aldana.
Okay.
Go with a little something different. Okay. All right, let's run down the order real quick for our great. Is he our producer, Keith Schillen? Podcast Network co-head.
Silver Pro.
We're both taking Talita Bernardo to take on the second short notice replacement, Vivi Araujo, and that one for the curtain jerker. Both taking Raoni Barcelos. Oh, that could have been a good lock too. Over Carlos Haushin, newcomer. Both have the underdog Sergio Moraes beating Warley Alves. Both taking Luana Carolina over Priscilla Cachoeira in a bout that Big Marcel deemed a bathroom break. Kicking off the prelims, we're both taking Clay Guida to take out BJ Penn. Both taking Irene Aldana over Betch Correia. Split on the only fight we're split on for the evening. Big Marcel's going with the underdog Kurt Holobaugh. I'm taking Thiago Moises, the slight favorite Brazilian. Caveat that I believe it is going to be 100% a close decision on paper that goes in favor of the Brazilian. Headliner of the prelims, both taking Ryan Spann to get it done over the well-traveled veteran Antonio Rogério Nogueira Little Nog. Both all in on Diego Ferreira to open up the main card pay-per-view to get it done over Francisco Trinaldo. Both have Thiago Alves getting it done over the Argentinian Laureano Staropoli. Both have Anderson Silva as an underdog taking out Jared Cannonier. Both have, oh man, I messed up the order again. That's the co-main event, but the third fight on the main card, I flip-flopped on the breakdown here. We both have Jose Aldo getting it done over the surging Alexander Volkanovski, snapping his 16-fight win streak. And in the main event of the evening, taking Thug Rose Namajunas, the champion, to defend her title over Jessica Andrade and walk out of Brazil, still the UFC strawweight champion. Big Marcel, any last final thoughts, feedback, anything about UFC 237? Anything else on your mind? The floor is yours.
Actually, nothing, man. I don't know.
You got any plans for the fight card?
For that?
You got any plans to watch the fight card?
Just at home, man. Maybe a friend come over. I don't know. It depends on if he has to work or not. But yeah, that's it. Nothing special. You?
Not sure yet. Gonna definitely record the prelims, and then if I might go to a bar, watch the fight. I don't think I'm gonna order it. We'll see.
Oh yeah, you guys have to order it, right?
Yeah,
Pay-per-view. How much does it cost?
$60.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I love all these guys. I would love to see a Jose Aldo Alex Volkanovski fight. But I'm not sure the rest of the card's worth the price of admission on this one.
I agree.
Yeah. Big
What
Marcel,
kind
let the
of
people know where they can find and follow all your great work and contributions to the world.
what kind of Starbucks are you drinking?
Water, H2O.
Okay, that's great. Uh, people can find me on Big Marcel24 on Instagram and Twitter, and you can find my work or the other guys' work from MMA DNA and MMADNA.nl, and on the Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter. That's it.
Love the great work everyone at MMA DNA does. You can find me on Twitter, trademark MMA. Big Marcel, you a coffee guy too?
Not really, man. I like cold coffee, like with some milk in and that kind of stuff. But the hot coffee, I almost never drink hot coffee.
Oh, really?
You do?
Oh, yeah, I love it.
Okay, I'm more of a water soda kind of guy, which is very bad. But yeah, man, Monster Energy is life, but it's the 0 calorie one I drink. But yeah, still, it's not good.
Hey, everybody's got different tastes. You never know.
Yeah, it's like this one on here.
I heard Monster Energy dropped TJ Dillashaw from their sponsorship deal.
Yeah, man, I don't get any syringes anymore with my I was just kidding, man. Yeah, I heard that as well, man. Yeah,
Wow.
no, I don't have anything against TJ Dillashaw, man. It was just a joke, but yeah, I heard that as well, man. But yeah, what can you do, man? It happens. The big companies, they see that, they see you have a 2-year ban, and they're like, yeah, we don't want to have our name connected to you, and then it's done. You know, if it's in a contract, they can determine the contract, they will do it.
I mean, yeah, it's hard to keep someone with that who's violated on such a grand stage with that level of deal and that support. So I think it's pretty valid.
Yeah,
All right. Well, as a reminder, we're the LoudMouth MMA Podcast Network. You can find us wherever your podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. I mean, iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, wherever you want. Go for it. Thanks again to everyone, and we'll be back. I believe it's next week, UFC Rochester. Is that right, Big Marcel?
that's right.
That's right. Looking forward to it. Thanks, everyone. We will catch you next week.